Tom Ferry's pub in Kilcormac was empty when we arrived, but the calm soon broke, as the tabletops filled with plates of scones with butter and jam, and steaming mugs of tea poured from the kitchen. Retired Bord na Móna workers gradually filled the seats. They came eager to talk with us, a handful of strangers from America, about their decades of work with the company. Although they no longer work for Bord na Móna, the slow death of local peat operations continues to affect the lives of these men. Within the next 30 years, Ireland's peat supply is expected to be economically exhausted. Residents of the Midlands will deeply feel the repercussions of a major economic force for the last 60 years coming to an end. The retired workers in the pub on this day have watched the population of their county shrink as jobs flee to the city and children move away to follow them. The fate of the community of County Offaly is still intimately tied to Bord na Móna, but as always, this goes both ways.
It's a legal requirement under EPA licensing. In order to extract the peat, you have to fulfill a number of conditions.
Dr. Kathryn Farrell, head ecologist at Bord na Móna.
Then condition 10 relates to rehabilitation, which is really to ensure that Bord na Móna just doesn't walk away and leave a black desert behind them, which couldn't possibly happen anyway, because what we found is that once you stop producing peat, almost immediately vegetation starts to creep in.
Yet passive revegetation alone can rarely restore true biodiversity in the bogs. For instance, successful restoration to proper bog conditions is extremely rare. The peat extraction process exposes alkaline subsoils, resulting in pH levels that prohibit peat-forming vegetation. This makes long-term, committed habitat management absolutely necessary. Tom Egan, land manager for Bord na Móna.
Generally, when we get an area, or when peat harvesting finishes, like it has been probably in peat harvesting for 40 years from its original raised bog. So you're basically back down to a residual peat, and so really and truly you're back to looking at a landscape as was after the Ice Age.
Without the option to restore the original boglands, Bord na Móna must conduct extensive environmental surveys to determine the most appropriate and sustainable habitat for each site. The company owns over 80,000 hectares of land and currently has 3 ecologists on staff who are saddled with walkover surveys of every inch. With so much territory to cover, their dependence on the knowledge of Bord na Móna workers is real.
We're always keen to get information off them, because obviously they're the guys who are on the bog maybe 30, 40 years now at this stage, and they know what's going on and how it's changed over the years.
David Fallon, ecologist with Bord na Móna.
The information that we get on the ground is essential, because obviously I go into a bog and I could be off it in a day, and that's my survey done.
Bord na Móna must also rely on local communities to pick up some of the responsibility as stewards of the land. Yet the company sees its hands-on involvement in these properties as temporary. Long-term involvement is seen as economically unsustainable and an unacceptable deviation from the company's mission of energy production.
We don't have a function in tourism, in angling, even walkways, and it'd be much better if local people did take on ownership.
Bord na Móna has taken steps towards solidifying relationships with the Offaly community with the Loughborough Parkland site, which features a variety of cultural and natural amenities. While these projects, such as angling lakes and sculpture in the parklands, go a long way as goodwill gestures, the loss of Bord na Móna as a source of employment for the local community leaves us with another question. If a company such as Bord na Móna cannot support continued land management, how will the local community be able to do so while also weathering coming economic changes?
Why would Bord na Móna, who produces peat, turn into a wilderness management company when it's not? It's a commercial company, and it has a commercial mandate from the state. So nobody knows what's going to happen.
Nobody may know what's going to happen, but one thing is certain. Much as the fate of Offaly's natural heritage, Bord na Móna, and the local communities have always been intertwined through peat production, so too are they now dependent on each other in this time of serious transition. How the Midlands handle this challenge in the years to come should be an instructive reminder that the concept of ecology does not exclude industry or local communities.